Hello and welcome back to the Squirrel Heat YouTube channel. Apologies for not being as present with videos this week as I would like to have been. Obviously, I did say in a couple of videos last week that some things are going on, that we're dealing with some things, and that I've done a couple of scheduled videos, got 2 more scheduled videos to come out. I think tomorrow I got the Zelda video number 4 coming out. Love making that series, love doing that one. That's scheduled one, that's to come out at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then on Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, I got my next episode of the FIFA 16 player career mode, episode 4, one in which sort of sorted out some of the voice sound and stuff like that. Not completely though. So I'm going to go with some different software. I'm currently using the Elgato recording software, and I've never had issues with it before until recently when doing this player career mode. So what I'm going to switch to is I'm going to switch to XSplit. I did a test of it, and it's been absolutely fantastic. So I've got no complaints there. I'm going to move on to that one, and hopefully that'll improve whatever's been going on with my audio so far, but I just can't seem to get rid of it. Once the Elgato software updated, it just wasn't having it. It just really wasn't having it. So I've moved on. It'll hopefully improve the experience for all of us involved. And we can get on to just some good audible quality. Let's just say that. Moving on swiftly anyway. Just literally had the notification through from Sky Sports. Now, obviously, I did my... that was another scheduled video that I did about the England manager choice of why I wanted Jurgen Klinsmann to be England manager, or at least approached anyway. And yeah, that's been blown out of the water in about a day, which happens. It was bound to happen. It was a long shot that they were going to be able to go and get Jurgen Klinsmann anyway. But what has come out tonight is literally breaking news. Sky Sports, Allardyce set for England. Now, as you can tell, obviously it wasn't one that I was wanting to go for, and there's been a lot of justification by the media and such like that of why he's a good appointment, but I can still only point to the fact that he is only a slight upgrade on what Roy Hodgson has done in the past. He's never done it, and this could be one of those things where I could be completely flat out wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong. I don't mind that whatsoever. If I'm wrong about stuff, that's cool, and if it turns out to be really good for England, that's ace. That, honest to God, is awesome. It really, really is. This could be one of those things where Sam Allardyce, who hasn't had maybe the opportunities of managing a top 8 club, maybe a top 6 club, anything like that. He hasn't really managed those types of clubs with a bit more of a financial backing that obviously teams are having these days. And I think early on in this transfer window, he's had some issues, obviously, with the Sunderland board and such like that. Not giving him the funds that he wants to go out and buy players. And he's just not had, I think there's a lot of stalling and stuff like that going on with transfers. Maybe this was the perfect time for Allardyce to turn around and start looking at things like the England manager's job. But going back to what I was saying about the about him having problems with the not managing at a more higher level club. This could be one of those things where he manages at this level with this group of players, and this group of players will be a talented group of players no matter what, that are coming in, that he's going to be inheriting in the squad for England. You've got the likes of, as I've mentioned before, and we all know who the England squad is. You like Daniel Sturridge, Sterling, who still could come good, Harry Kane, Jamie Vardy. Quite a really good midfield, solid up front. Defence needs a lot of work. Is that somewhere that he could come in and maybe he could shore up that defence like he's done? Made his teams really, really hard to beat. Who knows? This could be that turning point, but I'm just still not sold on Sam Allardyce as England manager. I'm just not. It's not the progressive way of moving forward, in my opinion. The progressive way of moving forward would be to go with, you can either take a complete left turn and go for someone like, what's his name? You could take someone like Eddie Howe, and you could take someone like a younger manager, someone else like that, who's very tactically astute, very good with their tactics, good with their player, man management and stuff like that. That would be, that would obviously be a risk, a calculated risk. Whether it comes off or not, then it could obviously have big repercussions on the current England squad, and obviously the state of the England squad for years to come. Or you could go with someone like Jurgen Klinsmann, who's got a proven record of starting things out, maybe not necessarily winning trophies and such like that, but at the moment, Sam Allardyce, as far as I'm aware, hasn't won trophies at club level, or many. I don't know if he's won any. Someone maybe can clue me up on that one. I'm not entirely sure. So winning trophies at club level means jack shit, because there's going to be managers that win stuff at club level wouldn't be able to do it at international level, and vice versa. I don't imagine that Portugal's manager will be able to step into a club role and be able to win trophies there. It doesn't just necessarily translate just as easy as that. So I think what we've got to do now, obviously it still hasn't officially been said that Allardyce is England manager. It says he's set for England. There could obviously be stumbling blocks along the way, but I don't imagine that there will be. I think we can probably take this as gospel now, that Allardyce is going to be the England manager. He'll be stepping down from Sunderland. They're apparently already preparing for their next manager. So it does look like it's dead set on. While disappointed a little bit, I've got to be positive now, because I've now got to back the England manager and back the country, because at the end of the day, this is the country that we have for our national football team, and we've just got to hope that maybe something different happens. Maybe I just don't know. I'm hoping that something different happens, but I'm not going to hold out too much hope. I really would have rather that we would have gone for someone either younger or of a different ilk, like a Jurgen Klinsmann, something like that. But this is where we are. This is where we are at the moment with the England team. These are the options that we've got. People have been calling out that we stay with an English manager. You stay with an English manager, or a British manager at least. There aren't that many options anymore. There really aren't. There aren't that many that are in a strong position. Sam Allardyce just beat relegation last season. Pardew barely was safe from relegation. Steve McLaren, no, been a failure before. Failed again with Newcastle, obviously. Who else have we got that's English manager? Eddie Howe looks like the most prospective one, but didn't finish that high up the table anyway. But that's down to the team he was working with. That would have been quite a good shout, but a risk for him and a risk for England and the FA as well. There aren't, honest to God. Then you've got, obviously, if we're talking British managers, we've also got David Moyes, who's a solid manager, who will never probably get the type of England manager role, just because until he gets himself established again, like he was at Everton, stuff like that. With the stuff that he did with Everton, while he didn't progress them up the table that much, he made them so difficult to beat. Had some talented youngsters as well. You know, maybe in a couple of years, and he maybe solidifies his reputation again. But then that'll change, because then the whole scope of the England manager position will change again, depending on how Allardyce does. He could very well go on and be a success, shore up that defence, make it much more like a brick wall, very difficult to get through, and maybe we'll get rid of some of that Route 1 that he's known for. And let's be honest, actually, I think the first half of his final season with West Ham, they played some pretty good football. It was the second half that they kind of fell away with it, and I'm not sure whether they had injuries or something like that. But he played some pretty entertaining football in that first half of the season. Maybe we could get some of that, and obviously he's not going to be needing to do it on a week-on-week basis. It'll only be every couple of months up until the tournament, so maybe that'll make it a bit easier. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. And then in terms of Liverpool news, now, obviously, one of those things is the signing of Ragnar Klavan. If I'm saying that name right, I'm not sure. I had to look at it then. I just had to make sure I was saying it right. Ragnar Klavan. Now, obviously, he's coming in as a backup defender to the likes of Sacco, Matip and Lovren. But I'm hoping that someone of his experience, captaining the Estonian team and stuff like that, having a good few seasons in the Bundesliga as well, will only put us in good stead. I think in terms of blocks and things like that, I think he was second only to Joel Matip, who happens to be in our squad, which looks excellent. And I'm hoping that maybe if he is called upon at some point, that he becomes like a brick wall, like a rock in our defence, and we can call him Ragnar Rock. I had to go there. I've been thinking of that all day, genuinely. So yes, I'm quite happy with that one. It's 4.5 mil. People are crying out, why did we get rid of Torre and Skrtel? Torre, love the guy. Who couldn't love that guy? He really is just such a nice guy. But he is as solid as he can be and as good as he can be. He is prone to the occasional, well, quite occasional, like more often blunders and things like that. Less so last season, but he didn't play that much last season, let's be honest. He is susceptible to making the odd error here and there. Same with Skirtle. Skirtle, love the guy as a player, but he's got far too much of a... Where the opposition has the ball, he wants to go to the ball and he wants to move to the ball and stuff like that, instead of stay in the position, reading the game, what's going on around him, and that is just... We can't have that happen anymore. Someone like Klavan should be able to bring in that experience. He's 30 years old, yes, and he isn't the speediest of players, but he reads the game very, very well. So I'm quite happy for him, obviously coming in as backup right now, but we've got to look out for Matip and the African Cup of Nations and stuff like that, and obviously injuries and such like that will happen. So I'm quite happy for that one, very pleased, and he's our new number 17, taking it from Sacco, who has now become our new number 3. The next one, obviously, in terms of Liverpool news as well, is obviously Gini Wijnaldum from Newcastle. Now, I'm in two minds about this one. I'm hearing a lot of things that he's a great signing, he'll be awesome, he'll be brilliant, he'll add goals, he'll add assists. And while that's very, very true, if, like me, like the reason I got started into doing this channel, or trying to do videos, was I watch a lot of the True Geordie. He doesn't know who I am. And he probably doesn't need to know who I am. But the guy's an absolute legend, and he tells it like it is about every team, not just his own team. And he tells it like it is about his own team. And obviously, watching the Premier League last season, you see someone like Gini Wijnaldum coming with the reputation he had, and you're thinking, that is a very good signing under a shit manager. And that was just the way it was. Like, that's the way it ended up. The problem that I've got is, obviously, people are saying he got into double figures last season. That he got 11 goals and he contributed quite well. Very misleading. Now, I know people are going to say that about Sadio Mane as well, but he's got better numbers at the end of the day, and he's got different qualities about him that we didn't have in our team. Wijnaldum, it's just... People forget, 11 goals scored. 4 of those goals came in one game against Norwich. Right, they ripped Norwich apart, and I think that game ended like 6-2, 6-3, or something like that, whatever it was. The problem with Wijnaldum is, at Newcastle, there was probably far too much expectation laid on his doorstep. With the team that they are in at that point with Newcastle, the same can go for Moussa Sissoko as well, that when it comes down to it and things are getting tough, they can't handle it to take that team by the scruff of the neck and get it over the line and, you know, turn losses into draws, draws into wins, as the old saying goes. What we need, probably, I don't know, like, there was talk of, and I can't remember where I saw it, but there was talk of the way that our front line could line up. Now, obviously, you'd have Daniel Sturridge or Firmino in that top role, Origi as well, possibly with Benteke obviously looking like he's going out. You know, so you'd have either Firmino, Sturridge or Origi up top. And then behind, or onto the sides and behind as well, you'd have Sadio Mane, Coutinho, who else have we got? Lallana, possibly. Then there's talk of Wijnaldum coming into that space as well. There's also been talk of him dropping deeper and playing in a similar role to Jordan Henderson would play. So there's been talk that it could be like Emre Can in the DM role, and then you've got Jordan Henderson over here, you've got Wijnaldum over here, and then you've got the front three, which it looks like someone's put forward. It would be Coutinho, Mane, Firmino or Sturridge. In my opinion, I'd have Firmino, Coutinho, Sturridge in the same team all the time if you could. And there's no reason we can't do that this season with no European competition. However, thing is, right, Milner isn't getting any younger. I totally get that. But for me, I would put Milner ahead of Wijnaldum down to performances last year. Milner will just keep going no matter what. You could put a brick wall straight in front of him and he'll find a way to either go through it or round it, under it, over it. He will just keep going. And while he's not getting any younger, we need him there next to someone like Jordan Henderson, who's going to do that exact same role. While Wijnaldum has got good pace, he's got good technique, Is he going to do it on a consistent basis? In my opinion, no. He's already proven that he can't do it on a consistent basis. People are going to say that we have more quality players in our team than Newcastle did. However, with the team that we've got, the amount of midfielders that we've got, and the opportunities that we could have to some of the youth players this season, as we've seen in pre-season that we're all yelling about. I forgot to mention Grujic there as well, Marco Grujic. Where is he going to fit in? And how do we then say, right, we spent 27 million on Genie Wijnaldum, and then he doesn't fit in the team and he doesn't perform? It's wasted money, in my opinion. For me, he should be staying at Newcastle. The old saying goes, and this goes for Sissoko as well, the fact that he's fucking priced up for 35 million just after the Euros, he gives himself a 10 out of 10. Bell end. Because look at what he did. It doesn't matter what he did at the Euros. What did he do? 38 games in the Premier League. Barely fuck all. I think he scored 1 goal. What did he do in cup competitions? Nothing. He disappears. And that's the same thing with Wijnaldum. In big games or big pressure times, when things aren't going your way, and let's be honest, things like that have been happening with Liverpool quite a lot more in recent years. Take away the 2013-14 season, obviously, but even then, we had big moments. Crystal Palace game, 3-3. The Chelsea loss, 2-0. Everything like that. You need players that are going to help you and drag you through those difficult moments. And he is not a player that I would want sat in my midfield when we're struggling, trying to get us over the line. I would much rather new signings take precedent. Stuff like people like Grujic, who's doing quite well in pre-season so far, let's be honest. Mane, who's showing flashes of brilliance, needs to have a bit more about his end game and stuff like that, and providing assists and getting on the ball, looking a bit more lively. But he looks like he's going to be a good acquisition over a long season. Jordan Henderson coming back and wanting to prove himself as captain, which he really needs to do. Otherwise, that captain's armband is going to be right down the back, and I believe it'll end up on either Lovren or Sacco. I'm going on a bit of a rant now. Milner is obviously, he's going to be in there with his experience, and he is good. You know, he is good. People say he's boring, doesn't do a great deal of stuff, but he is good. He's got good value for me, he's got good value in our team, and I do like having him in the team, or in and around the team. Emre Can, brilliant prospect. Obviously, I think Jurgen Klopp wants to use him in a bit more of an attacking role, which I think would be a good shout if he can improve his finishing and stuff like that, because he's got a very good pass on him. It's absolutely fantastic. Look, if we ended up signing him, I'd be disappointed if we signed him for 25 mil. I honest to God would be, because I don't think he's worth it. What has he done last year that proved that he's worth 25 mil now? I don't know what Newcastle paid for him. I didn't look it up. I'll probably look it up after this video, but I don't know what Newcastle paid for him. But whatever they did pay for him, he didn't prove or didn't live up to his reputation he'd built up over in the Dutch league. And as people say, we saw it with Memphis Depay last year as well. Maybe he struggled because of Louis van Gaal's tactics, but he did not make the impact that people were expecting him to make in the Premier League. And maybe it's something that people say about the Dutch league, people coming over from the Dutch league and coming to play in the Premier League. They more often than not struggle. I think the only one in recent memory that didn't was Luis Suarez when he came over from Ajax. But But Luis Suarez is a different type of player. Can't really be comparing there. So, I think that's the end of that rant anyway. I think, you know what my thoughts are. You know what my thoughts are. And I really just don't want us going down that route of people saying that we've wasted money. And me, myself, thinking that we will have wasted money as well, because we've got so many talented youngsters. I'd rather see them get a shot than someone come in for 25 mil, 27 million, and just end up sitting on the bench or being put on the pitch and not contributing anything. That's my personal feelings. I want someone there that is going to work for the club, work for the shirt, and work for the fans. And he didn't do it with Newcastle, who have a great fan base. We cannot deny they have a great fan base. They really do. You cannot say Newcastle don't have a great fan base. Nobody can say that, because they sold out every single time when they were right down the bottom three for most of that season. Nobody can say that. We ourselves have a wonderful fan base. We have an excellent fan base. Having been to some games, I've seen what that crowd, what that audience is like, how it can just bring and uplift that team, and what Jurgen Klopp has done for the club as well, how it will uplift any player be like the 12 players and stuff like that. Like they always say that a crowd can be, especially at Anfield. But if you don't perform for a crowd like that, like a one at Anfield, and especially at the Kop as well, if you don't perform, that support will start to dwindle very, very, very fucking quickly. And I would never want to see negativity entering Anfield. We've had a couple of years of that, let's be honest, where Anfield was pretty damn fucking quiet. But now it was loud as hell, especially in the last couple of months of the Premier League. I've gone off on a completely different rant now. No offence to Wijnaldum. You stay the course at Newcastle. You got them in the shit that they're in. You stay down, you dig them out of it. You could become a hero. You should do that instead. And the same goes for Sissoko. And obviously coming out of that rant, apologies for that. It is quite a lengthy one. I had to get it out there though. Coming out of that rant is the final point of this week. And one that I'm not entirely surprised by is obviously Kante signing for Chelsea. And it makes sense for Chelsea. It really does. They've obviously needed some steel in that midfield that they were getting from Matic, but he wasn't. He needed a partner that's going to help him out there, because when they had Fabregas in that role, it just wasn't working whatsoever. It just really wasn't working. Fabregas will be better now because he'll hopefully be moving forward into more of an advanced role in the midfield, and he won't have to necessarily do. He'll have Kante to do all the running around for him, which is what players like that love. You have someone down behind you that you know, along with Matic as well, who is going to do all the running around for you, the defensive gritty work that he won't want to be necessarily doing. You free him up to be in those final 2/3 of the pitch. That'll be really, and it's really good business for Chelsea. Leicester, I think Leicester preempted it by signing Mendy, who he's not the same player, but he is a workhorse in his own right as well. So I think they preempted it. They brought someone in who's going to do a pretty similar job, if not as good. Who knows? I don't know if that's not necessarily negative news for Leicester, to be honest. I think they bought Kante for 5 million or something. They've made 25 million profit or thereabouts. Not bad business. But there you go. I mean, that's just how it is. Chelsea look like they're going to be quite a force to deal with in the Premier League. I still think Leicester will be, especially with Mahrez committing himself, or apparently coming out and saying he wants to stay with Leicester, with that quote coming from Ranieri yesterday. So I think it's pretty positive all round for pretty much all teams involved in the Premier League lately. So yes, I think that's it. That's all I've got. I don't have any more news that's bouncing around in my head. I haven't really had a great deal of chance to look at news over the past couple of days. But yes, I'll be back on making videos and stuff like that next week, more likely. This will probably be the only video I make this week. I'll probably do a reaction video to the pre-season friendly that's currently going on. If you keep seeing that I'm looking out the corner of my eye over here, I'm watching the pre-season friendly for Huddersfield versus Liverpool, and we're currently 1-0 up. Coutinho's just missed a penalty. Spot on. So yes, anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like on it. Every single subscriber of you are all legends, and I love every single one of you. Your likes, your comments, even if they're negative, I don't care. Get your thoughts in there. I want to hear what you think about the transfer news, about the England manager position as well, what your thoughts are on it. Like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and I will catch you later.